Hey everybody, hope you're doing good. It's a warm day here in Middle Georgia. It's hit 102 today, and it's just the end of June, so we've got quite a ways to go. And with that being said, I'm actually in the shop at 9:30 at night because it's too hot to be working during the hottest part of the day. So we're kind of going down during the hottest part of the day and working early in the morning, late at night, and trying to get stuff done. So what I am making today is for a foreign tractor, but it's this piece right here. And I know it doesn't look like much, but this is a cast pot metal casting for a tractor that's only about 6-7 years old, but the manufacturer will not sell the guy just this clip. You have to buy the filter that it holds on, a bunch of other stuff, and it's about $800-900 for all of that when all he needs is this. So let's see if I can get this in here where you can see it. So it's a small flange. You can see couple of things about it. 4 holes. You can see this hole's broke out. You've got some notches here and here. If you flip it over, you can see it's countersunk on those holes, but there's also a recess that's cut into it right here that drops down. And then if we rotate it around, you can see where this piece has broke off. So there used to be a squared off piece right here, and the bolt that held the filter goes through that. So that broke off, and you can see that it's also recessed so that the top of the bolt is flush. So a lot of different things for something this small. So I want to talk about how I'm going to attack this, because you look at this and go, okay, well, that's pretty straightforward. The problem is if I do operations in the wrong order, it can scrap the part out. So I've got to think about how I want to do this. If I go on and cut the length, well, then I've got to, the only real place I've got to hold it is right here while I'm cutting all of this. So I think what I'm going to do is cut a larger block of metal, and we're actually going to use steel to make this, so it's a little more rigid, and hopefully won't break. The area he's looking, or I've gone and looked at it, and all this does is hold the oil filter mount, or a filter, and there's nothing that's pressing on it, pulling on it, anything like that. So this was just caused by vibration. So we're going to go with the steel instead of the aluminum. So hopefully that'll add some rigidity to it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a larger block of steel so that I can cut all this out. And then once I'm finally done, I can take it to the bandsaw, cut it off, bring it back, and flush this side up and make it the dimension it needs to. So how am I going to do this? Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by cutting out all this material around this piece. So we're going to focus on getting this cut out first. Then once I have this piece cut out, then we'll start working on this area. Most likely I will drill and countersink these holes, and then I'll cut in this recess, because it's going to be harder to countersink that one hole because it's halfway in the recess and halfway out. So we'll go on and drill and do all the countersinks, then we'll cut the recess, and then we'll turn it, we'll drill and drill this hole, and we'll cut this recess. And while we've got it turned, we'll go on and cut that notch and that notch on the side of it. And then the final thing, like I said, we'll cut it off at the bandsaw and come back and face that surface to make it the dimensions, thickness we need. So let's get started. All right, so what I've got is a piece of the 2" by 2". This is just cold rolled steel, so it's nothing major, but it's 2" by 2", and I've cut about a 3" block just so I've got enough room to hold it. And as you can see, that's still not quite high enough, but what I want to do, I want to square this off. So we're going to face and square this end, we'll flip it over, and then we'll face and square the other end, and we'll put it on some blocks down here to raise it up to the height we need. So let's go on and get ready to square and face this. Alright, so I started making the cut. Y'all see the lines here? You've got one there, another one there, and another one right there. That means that the head of the machine is kicked up or down a little too much. So the spindle right there, the cutter, is not flush with this face. It's actually cocked just slightly. And so what we had to do, come over here, and you've got the indicators on the side here. Well, when I got to looking at it, somehow this mark was up about there. So that threw the cutting tool off. Hadn't had to check it, didn't think about it. Now I know. So I went back and rechecked it, and to adjust it, I loosened this bolt and this bolt, and then turned this bolt, and it tilts the head forward. Tighten these back up, snug everything. Now we're good to go. We'll make another pass and see if it cleans up. Okay, got our cuts done. It looks like there's lips here, but there's not. It's actually smooth all the way across. So we're ready to go. The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna break the edges with a file, and then we'll flip it over and do the other side. The whole reason for breaking the edges with the file is just so it sits flush and you don't have a burr or anything like that holding it up on the other side once you flip it over. You've got clean edges. There we go. All right, let's flip it over. Here's the second side. Like I said, that looks good. All right, so now let's do some layout. Mr. Matt, just for you. This is what I use for my layout. It's a spray can. It does pretty good, and it doesn't dry out. I've probably had this can for about a year. Okay, y'all, so here's my layout. Started off, you can see the line right there on the side. That's my depth. That's 800 thousandths. And that is going to be the depth from what would have been the finished surface up here to this face here, including that bevel right there, okay? So that gives us our depth. Then we went in here on the top and I scribed my center lines so that I would have reference points to work off of. And then we came in and 600 thousandths from the edge here, 600 thousandths from the edge here makes this 800 thousandths wide, which is again what this is. And then we went in from here to this edge, which is the distance from this back edge to the front of that bull nose. That's 600 thousandths. So that gives me that layout. Now, I put blue Dykem on all of this so I could make my scribe lines. But because I had lines and I want to make sure that this piece does not get cut out, I went on and taped this in a different color so that I can cut all of this material out, and I'll leave that. Okay, y'all, there's the tenon, and here's the original part. So width wise, it's 800 thousandths, which is what this one is. From front to back, it's 600 thousandths, which is what this one is from this face to the bottom of that bevel right there. So that later we'll come in and, or probably the next step, we'll come in and cut this with a bull nose. That way we get that radius that we've got right there. And it is 850 thousandths tall, which is what this needs to be when it's finished. So tenon's done. So like I said, the next step, we're going to cut it, the thickness down to 50 thousandths with a bull nose. That will get